The Boston Tea Party. Everyone's heard of the colonists dumping tea into the Boston Harbor, but what really happened on that cold December night in 1773? Today, we'll take a look into this famous act of rebellion that helped spark the American Revolution. Tension was already high in the American colonies. The British Parliament had been imposing various taxes without colonial representation, and the Americans weren't happy about it. First came the Sugar Act, and then the Stamp Act, and then finally the Townshend Acts, each one making colonists more frustrated than the last. The real trouble, though, started with the Tea Act of 1773. Here's what most people don't realize. The Tea Act actually made tea cheaper, not more expensive. The colonists' anger wasn't about the price at all. It was actually because the act gave the British East India Company a monopoly on tea sales inside of the colonies. To them, this was just another example of Parliament controlling their lives without their consent. And on December 16th of 1773, things reached a boiling point. 3 ships, the Dartmouth, the Eleanor, and the Beaver, sat in the Boston Harbor loaded with 342 chests of British tea. The colonists had already refused to let the ships unload their cargo for weeks, but time was running out. According to law, the ships either had to pay taxes or unload within 20 days of arrival. Governor Thomas Hutchinson refused to let the ships return to Britain, creating a standoff. That night, about 116 men, many disguised as Mohawk Indians, took matters into their own hands. Led by Samuel Adams and the Sons of Liberty, they boarded the ships and then spent 3 hours dumping 92,000 pounds of tea into the harbor. That's about $1.7 million worth of tea in today's money. The crowd that gathered to watch was so large that the area around Griffin's Wharf was packed with thousands of spectators. And another detail that most people don't know about, the protesters were extremely orderly. They didn't damage any of the ships, didn't harm any crew members, and even swept the decks clean afterwards. One protester who accidentally broke a padlock even returned the next day to replace it. They also made sure that no one pickpocketed any tea for themselves. This wasn't about theft, it was about making a statement. The British response was swift and harsh. Parliament passed 5 coercive acts, which colonists called the Intolerable Acts. These included closing the Boston Harbor until the destroyed tea was paid for, restricting Massachusetts' self-governance, allowing British officials to be tried in Britain for crimes committed in the colonies, and also requiring colonists to house British soldiers. But instead of intimidating the colonies, these punitive measures only united them further against the British rule. So, the Tea Party became a rallying cry throughout the colonies. Other ports like New York, Philadelphia, and Charleston began refusing British tea shipments. And within 2 years, the American Revolution would begin at Lexington and Concord. And that's how the Tea Party became one of the key events leading up to the American Revolution. If you learned anything new and you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to Quick History for more fascinating stories of the past. As always, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.